I only read one book, but it's a good book, don't you know? I act the way I act because the good book tells me so. If I want to know how to be good, it's to the good book that I go. Because the good book is a book, and it is good, and it's a book.
And the whole earth was one language, and of one speech, which contradicts the previous chapter, which talked about the sons of Noah, their families, and their various different tongues. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there, all speaking the same language, all of them, as in everybody on the planet. And they said to one another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. Because they didn't have pop stars and celebrities, so topics for conversation were a little like what you would find in communist Russia. And they had brick for stone, and slime had for mortar, for they did go collecting slugs and snails early in the morning, as they had not yet invented concrete. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And like people in years to come, they would surely find that the will of God and tall towers do not sit happily together. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men had builded. For he had forgotten that he is omnipresent, and is therefore all places at once, and so would not need to go anywhere to see anything, as he would already be there, and would already know about it. But that is besides the point, and the Lord would use this as an excuse, because he fancied a holiday. And the Lord said, Behold, to nobody in particular, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. For this did apparently take the all-knowing Lord with the perfect plan by surprise, and the Lord did know that when united in a common cause, and when speaking with a common language, where all can truly understand each other and God isn't involved, the achievements of man are limitless, and God did not like this, for he does truly expect his followers to be a bunch of sun-stroked retards, who do act like cattle and can be milked for all that they possess, and can be enticed into god-awful wars over petty arguments and misunderstandings and religiously inspired bigotry and intolerance. Go to, let us go down, he said to himself in a Batman and Robin kind of way, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, which would surely be the kind of dastardly plot that a cartoon supervillain such as the Mistrons would do, for the Lord does not like harmony, understanding and cooperation, and will endeavour to destroy it wherever he finds it, lest he be paid $1 million, which was a lot of shekels back then. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city, as it is well known that it is impossible to get a building project finished when the contractors don't all speak the same language, unless of course the contractors are Polish, in which case they will get the job done in half the price in half the time, even though you might not understand a bloody word that they say. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all of the earth. For they did not consider that employing translators or learning each other's language would resolve the issue. And late at night 2 mysterious green circles did shine upon the half-builded tower. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad, 2 years after the flood, which was covered in great detail in the last chapter, to everyone's great delight and excitement, and was so well received that we shall cover it again in even greater detail here. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years, and begat sons and daughters, and they did marry each other, as well as their cousins, for there was not any one more distantly related on the planet, and their children did have 3 ears, furry palms, and a tail. And Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begat Salah. which is a lot more reasonable than having your first kid when you are drawing your pension. And besides, there wasn't as many sheep and goats around as there used to be. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And he did go hunting dinosaurs into extinction for food. As the Lord had said, it was now okay to make pies out of them, and he did have Bronto burgers like his neighbour Fred every night. And Salah lived 30 years, and begat Eber, for he did have no television either, and the goats and the sheep that were around did run away from him in case he did fancy chops for tea. So he had to make do with lettuce and cucumber and tomato sandwiches. And Salah lived after he begat Eber 403 years, and begat sons and daughters, and by combining vinegar, olive oil, and a few herbs, he did invent a dressing that you could pour over lettuce, cucumber, and tomatoes, and it was very popular. But alas, most people did misspell his name, and it became known as salad dressing. And Eber lived 430 years, and begat Peleg, who did only have one leg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. And if the previous chapter is accurate, and is to be taken literally, then his grandfather Shem was the father of every single one of them. And Peleg lived 30 years, and begat Ryu, who did have a name like someone in a Japanese anime cartoon. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years, and begat sons and daughters, and did walk around in circles every day of his life with a parrot on his shoulder, and did say "Arr" a lot. And Reu lived 32 years, and begat Shrug, who got his name from the response that Reu gave when he asked what his son was called. And Reu lived after he begat Shrug 207 years, and begat sons and daughters, and he did spend all his years hunting down Pokemon, until the day did come that he actually did collect them all. And Shrug lived 30 years, and begat Nahor, in a pattern that is starting to look like the bloke who wrote this used the copy and paste function a lot, and then just changed the names, so making this bit look a lot like a list, and the Lord was not amused, and did tell the author to move it along a bit, because he did want to get to the bit with the sister fucking and the free food. And Shrug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years, and begat sons and daughters, and did fuck all else. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begat Terah, becoming the youngest father on the planet yet so far. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, and begat sons and daughters, none of whom, aside from the first one, are worth mentioning, and that's only because he is the father of someone else. And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Adram, Nahor, and Haran, presumably all in one go, which would have made them triplets, and would have surprised his wife, and they were known as Little Terahs. Now, these are the generations of Terah, who, in 2 out of 3 versions of this narrative, would be remembered as a right evil bastard. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran, as we already know, and Haran begat Lot, which is actually his name, and not some description of the number of children that he had begat, and he is named Lot because they had either run out of names that are really difficult to pronounce, or get fed up with just making lists. Oh no, they make plenty of lists later on, don't you worry. And Haran died before his father Terah, in the land of his nativity, in of the Chaldees, and even to this day it is not known if he died of natural causes, or if his father killed him, like he tried to do with Abram by throwing him into a fire, in which case he would have been a victim of terror. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, which we will find out later on in the series is actually his half-sister, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah, which kind of sounds like Nahor's wife was his dead brother's daughter, which would mean that Nahor married his niece, for the sons of Terah did like to keep to the shallow end of the gene pool, which was more of a bucket than a pool, which is really fucked up when thou thinks about it, and it would someday be in the future considered to be incestuous and illegal in most places. But Sarah was barren, She had no child, which tends to happen a lot in deeply inbred families, and is something that incestuous rednecks all over the Bible Belt who suddenly find that after playing doctors and nurses with their siblings, they will soon be playing happy families, would give their third armful. But then again, it is just as well, because Nahar and Abram would probably argue about who was going to fuck it. And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, otherwise known as his grandson, and Sarah, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, who was also his daughter. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees, to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran, and dwelt there, and they left Nahor behind, because he was having way too much fun chasing his niece around the tent. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran, after being finally found living a life of luxury in a 3-story fortified mansion, half a mile away from a military camp, and assassinated by US Special Forces, and his body was taken aboard an aircraft carrier far out at sea, and dumped in the Indian Ocean. And the years of Terah were at an end, and it was possible to once again carry liquids in your hand luggage on aeroplanes, and you would no longer need to be groped by TSA agents as you passed through metal detectors. And the Lord, who was still sightseeing around Babel, was much relieved with this development, as it meant that it was less likely that he would be caught with the 15 cartons of cheap cigarettes, the 24 or so DVDs cram-packed with hardcore porn, and a suitcase stuffed full of herb, as he made his way through passport control to catch his flight back to heaven.
You better take